Good sticks, everyone. Welcome to the Captain Avalanche Fancast, your unofficial source for all things Colorado Avalanche hockey and more from a fan perspective, hosted by me, Captain Avalanche Cory, and they did beat the Stars, Dom. Now, we're no insiders. We're not inside the locker room face-to-face with our favorite players, but we hope to create a relatable and welcoming environment because we're just like all of you listening, fans. Fans with a deep passion for the game of hockey, and in this case, the Colorado Avalanche. January has not been the kindest month to the Colorado Avalanche. It wasn't the kindest month to me. And this is when my birthday is, and I like my birthday. But man, this month has kicked my ass. But as you can hear, I am doing much better. Thank you to those of you viewers who reached out with the well wishes. It means a lot. But yes, like I said, take care of yourselves, everyone. This was this was not a kind sickness, whatever it was, but Colorado has been particularly vicious apparently with the flu this year, so would not surprise me if that's what it was, but could have been any number of things. But just wanted to say thank you for everybody who reached out after hearing last week's episode to wish me well. Definitely appreciate it. Dom, stay healthy. We need you in here especially.
Oh, I'll do my best. I'm going to the dark land of the Golden Knights this weekend. So
you're going to Vegas?
I'll be minding my P's and Q's in Vegas for my buddy Brendan today. So shout out to Brenny. Happy birthday. I know you'll be hearing this tomorrow, but still, the fact that your guys' birthdays are very close is funny to me. But yeah, I'll be in Vegas from Friday through Monday. So that'll be either really great for having a massive TV to watch when the Sharks play, or I won't catch a hint of the game. So we'll see how it goes next week.
Oh boy. Well, looks like I might be watching some Sharks games next week, everybody. But yeah, everybody always shits on January birthdays, but I never do because it's my birthday. Anyways, the Colorado Avalanche are about halfway through the month with injuries galore and a record of 3-2-1. It's strange as January tends to be their best month, at least it has been in years past, but at least they still haven't lost at home, right? Right? Don't get it twisted. The Avalanche are still dominating, and when they lose, it is a monumental task for the opposing team to even get a chance to make that happen. January seems to be a month of death for the Sharks, taking a glance at their upcoming schedule, but this isn't the Sharks of years past, and they continue to compete for a playoff spot. Today, we'll highlight individual players and events as we continue our ramp up to the Olympics. We're feeling healthier today on the Captain Avalanche Fancast. Gotta notate something here. Now, I need to once again point out how spoiled we are as fans to watch the Colorado Avalanche this season. Truly. We are witnessing history right before our eyes. The 2022 Avalanche are the best regular season and arguably the best Avalanche team in Nordique's Avalanche team overall in history. Debatably. And at least in regular season, definitively. But overall, maybe. But I think they are. But we can argue about it a different day. But this team that we have right now has the potential to be even better. They are so good that I was actually mad when they lost to Toronto in overtime, mind you, and get mad when they're not totally dominating every opponent because it happens so often, regardless of where that team they're playing is in the standings. That is beyond silly. That attitude, anyway. Even the Canadiens team of 1976-77, the one with the least amount of losses in history, still had losses and ties. Not to mention the quality and skill of hockey is so much higher than it was back then. This team is going to lose, but we're so used to seeing them make history and break records every night and, win game in and game out that seeing them lose in any capacity is just shocking. But there are still many great teams in this league, and the Avs, while indomitable, are not invulnerable. Losses happen, and that is okay, even if my emotions in the moment tell me that it isn't. But we are blessed to watch the hockey that this team puts together every game. It, in fact, makes watching other teams at times boring for me, just due to the fact that they're not as fast or in sync as this Avalanche team is. Therefore, if you need a team that keeps it exciting nearly every game, go and watch the Sharks. Actually, also the Buffalo Sabres. I'm watching their game right now. Buffalo's been really fun to watch lately. But the Sharks, they have the speed and raw skill that the Avs do, but not quite the guarantee to win every contest, which leads to some absolutely excellent games to watch. I have rewatched the OT win over the Stars literally over and over again. I am not kidding. I've just on loop watching the 71 to 72 to 73. But anyways, today, rather than going game by game, I figured I'd talk Avalanche and some other hockey highlights, or some other hockey by highlighting certain players, coaches, and teams, and sparking some discussions about them. But before we get into that, Dom, any commentary?
Well, hello, everyone. And great to have you back on the mend, Corey, and able to take us away and lead us through tonight as we record. But yeah, the Avalanche are, in fact, mortal. Maybe they are demigods instead of actual gods, and, aren't immune to suffering a loss here or there, but they still look really good out there on the ice. I'm not going to take it personally that you told everyone to go watch the Sharks if they want to see a competitive game, because I'm just as happy to see those competitive games compared to previous years. And you're not wrong, because we might have speed, raw skill, and more power of friendship and heart than pretty much every team other than the Avalanche. But we're missing defense, so we certainly have a way of keeping our opponents in games. But I'm really excited to hear what you have today, focusing on a player-centric approach to this week's Avalanche games and other performances, it sounds like.
I mean, I by no means mean it as an insult. I more mean it as the fact that because the Sharks are still learning, gaining that experience, when you watch their games, they'll make those mistakes where they'll put themselves behind. But that being said, that makes it all the more exciting to watch them because they now have the ability to correct those mistakes and come back and still win the game. So that's what I'm saying. It's fun to watch the Sharks because, admittedly, it's not a guarantee, but there is a much higher probability, shall we say, watching the Avalanche this year that they're going to win the game, and most of the time in incredibly dominating fashion. So that being said, it can be fun to watch the Sharks if you want something, I guess, a little less predictable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think what I was poking at is the bar, the expectations. With the Avs, the bar, the expectation is so high, it's easier to be disappointed than elated and surprised and have something good happen to a degree that blows your mind. But the Sharks are doing that every time they win. Every win is monumental in this rebound, this comeback, this rebuild, whatever you want to call it. It's all of the above. And when you go in without those high expectations and you are the underdog, the Sharks are the underdog most nights when they're facing the teams they've been facing thus far in January and will for the rest of the month. So I'm with you. There's a lower bar. There's more room for excitement. And we also have Macklin Celebrini, who's just the future of the NHL, period. He is electric. He is a legitimate Hart candidate, and as he should be, but I will save that for later because this is time for some Avalanche news and some Avalanche players.
Indeed. But a little bit of in the tanking for you, everybody. Even I am admittedly #obsessed with these Sharks. But first and foremost, Brock Nelson. Once again, I need to highlight Brock Nelson because I fucking love Brock Nelson. I hope people are seeing why he has a spot on the USA Olympic men's hockey team. Argue anybody else all you want. Do not argue Brock Nelson. Ever since he's gotten going with the Avs, he has not slowed down one bit, and I love that for him. He's an absolute two-way demon, which any competitive team with championship aspiration needs. I need to cough. He deserves looks for the Selke trophy. Brock kills penalties and very well may be the solution to the Avalanche's power play. He has 8 of the team's last 15 power play goals for Colorado Hockey now. Brock can absolutely rip piss missiles at will and then score an absolutely finesse goal on top of that. He is now 4th on the team in scoring with 38 points and 2nd on the team in goals with 22. You genuinely could not ask for more from your second line center. Nazem Kadri's point totals during the Cup run, while incredible, were an anomaly in the total picture of his career. He's not put up those totals since. Brock Nelson, like many other Avalanche players this year, is well positioned to set a new career high for himself. And at the very least, he's going to hit his career standard, which is between 50 and 60 points. He's absolutely hitting more than 50. So around 60, possibly 70 or more points, and with the possibility of 40 or more goals. That's fantastic. He's simply excellent all around on the ice. He is one of the Avalanche's best face-off men, defensively responsible and hard to take the puck from, will fuck it up in the corners, and then will absolutely tuck the puck. I don't need the numbers to back up the assertion. You could literally watch it happen game in and game out. I just need to point it out again and again because so many people thought the contract was an overpay, and when he wasn't moving and grooving to start the season, people thought the Avalanche 2C position was cursed. But the man had spent his entire career in Long Island. He just needed to get comfortable, and now he has, and he is a reliable force that can be trusted out there on the ice in key moments for this Avalanche team. I love watching him play, and once again have to commend the Avalanche Pro Scouting Department. The Avalanche wanted this guy, and with a little patience knew exactly who and what they were getting. There were a lot of teams competing for Brock Nelson's services, and this Avalanche team would not be in the position that they are in without him. This is the stabilizing force the Avalanche needed on their second line, and now we just need to see how his comfort level translates to the postseason because the Avalanche will need everyone.
They certainly will, and it's a good point what you said about the 2C because I don't know if you have the numbers up. I haven't seen them side by side, but you're right. Kadri's season, he hasn't met that since, but I think Brock Nelson's on pace to at least match, if not pass that season that Kadri had. So again, with the comparisons to that 2022 Cup run, right? He's on a similar pace.
I don't think he's quite on that pace because I think Kadri had like 90 points.
Really?
Yeah, no, he genuinely, it was insane.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
It's all good. Let me hop back to that season real quick. No, we can look. Go. Oh, wait. Nope. That Avalanche stats. There we go. Where is he? Nazem Kadri. Oh, wait. Wrong one. Nazem Kadri. He had 87 that year with 28 goals and 59 assists in 71 games. So, I mean, if you extrapolate that out to 70 or to 82, he definitely would have had probably close to 100. I mean, here, we can do some quick math here.
Well, what you said there, you're right about extrapolating it out. Kadri would have more points. I think what I was thinking of is the goals. The fact that Brock Nelson already is at 22 compared to 28, and he would still have 20 plus games to play to surpass that. So that I think is what I was remembering is the goal scoring, which I think it shouldn't be a surprise, but it is probably a pleasant surprise to some Avalanche fans or some people listening who are neutrals or my fellow Shark fans who listen to this. But also on top of whatever the numbers say, can we just all agree that he has one of the best nicknames? Like, who else can you say this sentence? Big Cock Brock will fuck it up in the corners. I was trying so hard not to laugh when you read fuck it up in the corners because all I wanted to see, I was just waiting for you to drop a Big Cock Brock and you hadn't yet. I was like, wait. I make myself laugh. Even if no one else finds it funny, I find it funny.
Nah, it was pretty funny. Funnily enough, Nathan MacKinnon also was injured apparently that 2022 year. He only played 65 games, which is just crazy to imagine. But extrapolating Kadri's numbers out, if he played the full season, he would have had literally 100 points on the money, a little bit over. So we could say 101 to extrapolate there. But in terms of the pace that Brock Nelson is on right now, he is, a little under a point per game, which is not at all bad. He is currently operating at 0.84 points per game. We extrapolate that out over 82 games. He'll end up with about 70, which is super great. I mean, again, for a 2C, you can't ask for more. And the most points Brock Nelson has ever had in a season is 75, and that was in 2022. 23. So, I mean, that's perfect. That's the high end of his career averages that you're looking for. And the year after that, he had 69. So, I mean, you really can't complain here, to be totally honest with you. He's doing exactly what he's done, and he's doing it probably the best that he's ever done it here on the Colorado Avalanche. The most goals he's ever scored is 37. So it'd be cool to see if he can break those totals this year. I'd like to see him do that.
And it's in the realm of possibility,
it definitely
right?
is.
Because we're just over halfway through the season, and he's over half of the way there. So I don't want us to have to do more math and extrapolate out exactly what it would project to be. But I think the point here is, even if he doesn't have as many points, he's not being relied on to have all the assists, because the Avalanche still have 6 of the top 10 players in the league in plus minus. So you're fine. Your guys are playing well. The assists can go around. Not everybody's going to shoot. Not everybody has that goal scoring talent. So the fact that he's putting up as many goals as he is, it's going to matter more, because assists will come. Assists come from just playing good, fundamentally sound hockey, playing with your head up. But being able to put the puck into the net is sometimes luck, sure, but it does take a lot of talent, and it matters a lot more when we get to playoffs than what your assist totals are.
Exactly. And I mean, he's talented enough that he can play with anyone. And just like I said, it isn't all about just the goal scoring. He's good on the puck both ways. And that's why I enjoy watching Brock play. When Brock is on the ice, I feel good. I feel confident. I'm like, oh, well, the other team isn't going to score. Brock Nelson's on the ice. And when he gets the puck, he holds on to it, which is why pairing him with Valerian Nichushkin is so unbelievably clutch and perfect, because both of them are just absolutely dynamic power forwards. Once they have the puck, they can zone entry all by themselves because they're just that strong. So yeah, just want to, I like Brock Nelson. That's the ultimate point that I want to make here. I like Brock Nelson. He deserves to be on the Olympics. He's gas. I love Brock Nelson, even though he looks like he's a Civil War general from the 1800s.
Nice. Right there at the end, just drops in a little one. We still need to get you that Big Cock Brock jersey, though. I feel like we talked about that when he first was traded, that we got to get you one. Even if it's a custom one, throw our logo on there. Anyway, I don't want us to go down another different path that we don't need to, but we need to get you that jersey, my friend.
We will. Dean Evason. Also, for those of you who don't know, yes, Dean Evason was the coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I realized I did not clarify that very well. That is who Dean Evason is. Dean Evason reminds me of my high school math teacher, Mr. Young, both in looks and in attitude. I shockingly ended up with Mr. Young for 3 of 4 years, and I am grateful for that. Shout out Mr. Young. But the reason I bring him up is due to the fact that, like Dean Evason, from the outside and upon first interactions, he could seem like an absolute dick. Super abrasive and brash, and someone whose class you wanted to avoid. But if you actually showed up, you put in the work, you listened, you paid attention, you realized, for one, he was giving you something valuable and teaching you well. And secondly, he was actually a really nice guy and fun to talk to. Someone who is understanding and is actually trying to do the best for you. Dean Evason seemed like that for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He, at least from my perspective, seemed well liked by the players, was involved in the Ohio community, and was kind to the fans and rather charitable. I think he coached the Blue Jackets well, especially during a very challenging time for the team upon losing their best player to a tragic accident and nearly pushing them to a wildcard spot, literally within a point. That's the hard part for the Blue Jackets. The East is hyper competitive this year, and while I don't believe Dean Evason or the team is doing anything wrong or particularly egregious, someone has to be in last place. And unfortunately for the Blue Jackets, that has fallen to them. But I don't think getting shut out by the league's best team using their third-string AHL goaltender was a particularly good look. Respectfully, the game was not close. Elvis played well against the Avalanche as usual, but the Avalanche just looked firmly in control the entire time. What was hilarious was how the top line was absolutely eating Columbus alive. They would cycle them relentlessly, circling the ozone with the puck on their sticks, and they just wouldn't lose it. It took Columbus absolutely selling out to keep that line from scoring, and they did succeed in that endeavor. Unfortunately for them, the Avalanche have depth and the most offensively active D-core in the league. 3 of the 4 Avalanche's goals were by defensemen, including 2 from Brent Burns, who accumulated another game winner. Ilya Solovyov gets his first ever NHL goal, and then the third line gets a great grind goal. This Avalanche team doesn't need their top guys to score to win games. This team can truly win from anyone on any given night. And I don't think Dean Evason deserved to lose his job. I understand everyone in the East still has a chance to make the playoffs, but I just don't think the Jackets are one of the teams in the mix right now. And it doesn't feel like their management seems to understand that. They're living under the delusion that a coaching change will get them over the hump, and now someone is out of a job. But NHL coaches are hired to get fired. The most shocking thing for me is twofold. The first being that Dean Evason was the first coach to lose his job this year and not someone like Scott Arniel of the Jets, and that Dean was replaced with Rick Bowness, someone who I was convinced had retired. Rick Bowness is great and experienced coach, but he is also a grandpa, and I'm fairly certain he said he was done after leaving Winnipeg. I guess not.
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem in other major leagues as well. I think of Pete Carroll and the failed Raiders experiment this year. But at least in that case, you could argue they have talent. Part of the issue with Columbus is they have Zach Werenski, sorry, and then who else?
Adam Fantilli.
That's the problem.
Sean Monahan, Ivan Provorov.
Early on Fantilli, give him another year. But I'm talking top end star talent. I just, it hasn't gelled. It hasn't meshed. Last season, I had talked about it. There was added heart. There was the community brought together, the tragedy. Everyone played up to their full potential, and it wasn't enough, and not really much. I don't see changed with the roster. And without that extra boost, that extra spirit, for lack of a better word, I think this is more, unfortunately, I mean, I was high on Columbus, but I think this is more of an accurate depiction of where they are. I think, and maybe it's not about their draft picking. Maybe it is their pro scouting and figuring out how to put lines together. But I'm with you, Corey. I don't think coaching was the problem here. I think when it comes to these type of things, the GMs often have more security, but I think Columbus's issues fall more on that front office, that department, as opposed to the coach and the players on the ice themselves.
And, unfortunately, think about player destinations when it comes to making no trade lists. Like, not that Columbus, I think, is a bad place by any stretch of the imagination, but if you're asking players, where do you want to get traded to? How many of them are saying, oh, yeah, I'll go to Columbus, Ohio? Because, no offense to Columbus, I'm not quite sure what there is to do out there. I mean, and they did add somewhat. They added Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood from, obviously, the Colorado Avalanche, and I do wish Charlie Coyle was still on the team, but then the Avalanche scouted out and got Gavin Brindley, who has been fucking awesome. He's like Logan O'Connor light. So how can you even really complain in that regard? So in a way, they kind of lost a great prospect and got a little older and injury prone with, Miles Wood, and then Charlie Coyle's a little older, but I think it's just hard for them to attract more players and that talent to really, I think, push themselves to that next level, for what you're saying.
That's a fair assessment. I just have to say, from a player perspective, I understand the value of no trade lists and partial no trade clauses and things. But also, as a fan, I think it's stupid. It is stupid. It makes it harder for these teams to accumulate players, because if so many players are putting them on a no trade list, they only have a reduced field to work with. They could have the greatest GM, but that GM can't override these no trade clauses, right? So just a moment here. We're in this moment as a fan. I think the partial no trade clause is dumb. It should either be a full no trade clause or zero protection whatsoever, not this wishy-washy in between. Because again, I get it from a player perspective. I understand why, but from a fan perspective, I feel sorry for the fans in Ohio, for the Columbus Blue Jackets in that community, because how are they ever supposed to get better if half the league is going to put them on a blacklist every year? So, and maybe that's a little dramatic. Maybe it's not half the league, but you understand my point.
I do.
On what I'm trying to say here.
And I mean, I'm just being speculative. I don't know. Maybe players are okay with it. Maybe they're not on as many teams no trade list as I think. I know that there are anonymous player polls out there that we could look this up. So I am just being speculative at this point. I'm not, saying that is or isn't true. And I have no problem with Columbus. I'm always, kind of casually rooting for them. I am never sad when Columbus does well, but in a hyper competitive East, it's difficult to then stand out above some of the other teams. But we'll see with Rick Bowness and coaching change. Obviously, they won their debut with Rick Bowness behind the bench. So, I hope it can bring them success. And it wouldn't surprise me if Dean Evason ended up finding work elsewhere. He's a good coach. He has experience. He's coached a lot of great teams. So we'll see what happens. But otherwise, that was my thoughts on Dean Evason and the Columbus Blue Jackets, who got eviscerated by the Avalanche.
I do have one last thought to add, and all due respect to Charlie Coyle, I think the Avalanche were by far the winners of that trade. It is my opinion that the Avalanche dumped their dirty laundry on on Columbus's lawn and ran. Like, you don't have to deal with Miles Wood and his up and down injuries, his up and down ability to not lose his head and play like a jackass. And you dumped Coyle's contract so you could make other upgrades and pay Brock Nelson. That was part of it, so you could pay Brock Nelson. So in my brain, I think Columbus just was, unfortunately, the dumping ground for the Avs cast off so that they could get better and be this team this year. So I know, Avs fans, you probably miss Charlie Coyle, but also he had to hit the pile so that this team could be formed as we see it today, and it clearly was worth it.
I will say Charlie Coyle, from what I've seen, has been good for Columbus. He's been scoring well, and it's been a good center. And I mean, the Avalanche do need that upgrade at 3C, so I only say it'd be good to have him for that reason, just not at that contract price, obviously. But anyway, we can go back and forth about this all night, and we will do a trade deadline preview here, I think, in the next couple weeks, just because there might be a mini trade deadline right before the Olympic break as well. So we definitely want to talk about some people who the Avalanche could potentially target here, because they will be making a trade. This team is amazing, but there's always ways you can get better. Anyway, Auston Matthews and Bobby McMann.
Dang it, Bobby.
Bobby McMann, I apologize as I was unfamiliar with your game. That motherfucker is fast. I did get back to my typical note-taking for the Leafs game, and I consistently found myself noting that a player on the Leafs was incredibly quick, only to realize that it was Bobby McMann. It was Bobby McMann every single time. He was flying around the ice against the high-flying Avs and could consistently appear out of nowhere to be involved in the play. He also scored the Leafs' second goal, in which he took advantage of a broken play and got behind the defense and simply could not be caught as he flexed his scoring touch against rookie netminder Trent Miner. But I just want to recognize the skill and speed of Bobby McMann. Not somebody who gets a lot of talk around the league unless you're a Leafs fan, but the dude was a force. Of the 4 goals that the Leafs scored, 3 of them really didn't feel earned. I think the Avalanche beat themselves, at least when it came to the Leaf goal scoring. Now, I will say that the Leafs locked it down for the second period to prevent the Avalanche from scoring themselves. The Avalanche just could not do a lot. The Leafs just kept them out of their zone. It was an impressive effort and a clear indication that the Leafs can work under Craig Berube's defensive system, and that's clear as the team has come together over the last 10 games. Unfortunately, the Avs have lost to 2 teams that have been red hot when normally the Avalanche have been streak enders, so that's all the more credit to these teams, like the Leafs, for coming in with a game plan against the Avs and executing. All that being said, the Leafs still barely managed to pull out this game, and when a team beats the Avalanche, it truly takes everything they have along with perfect execution. I still think the team that beat the Avalanche the best this year so far was probably the Islanders. Um, the first goal by Easton Cowan was just a cross crease pass that deflects off of Brent Burns' skate and into the goal, which unfortunately is not the first time this kind of goal has happened, or this exact goal, really. Obviously, Burns is trying to defend the cross crease or cross ice pass and stopping it in front of his goaltender, but it's going off of his skate and it's not stopping on his stick. Credit to Minor to have the wherewithal to almost stop the puck anyways, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. That was a bit of a stunner for the young netminder, but it doesn't really affect the rest of the Avs core. The Avs take the lead later in the game, but then lose it to the aforementioned McMann, who did well to take advantage of a poor play and poorly handled puck along the Avs blue line. He took advantage as he should, but it's shocking that neither Gerard or Soloviev, God, his name is hard to say, didn't say that 10 times fast. Soloviev. They didn't disrupt McMann in some way. They just seemed to mix each other up, which gave McMann an uncontested move. Perhaps Wedgwood or Blackwood would have saved it, but it's difficult to say. I would have liked Minor to have saved this one, but he did well in this game, all things considered, especially against an offense like the Leafs. The third goal by Auston Matthews in the 4-on-4 was the best goal the Leafs scored, in my opinion. They were simply better in this moment. They outmatched the Avs, who usually thrive in 4-on-4s, but Auston Matthews can truly score from anywhere, and credit to him that he's managed to begin getting his game back. That's what else I want to highlight is Matthews has found a spark, and I'm happy for that because the man faces continuous criticism being the captain and the Leafs' arguably most talented and important player. They need him to show up, and he's clearly been dealing with something and has been doing his best to navigate it, especially with, overcoming that and trying to heal enough to where he can get back to that game that people are used to seeing out of him. But I mean, he's also, to his credit, a very excellent defensive forward. And I saw that in this game. I mean, he is an excellent takeaway artist. If you have the puck and Auston Matthews is coming at you, he'll take it from you. And I believe it was Mosier mentioned that literally verbatim that Auston Matthews has essentially a fat ass, and so it is hard to take the puck away from him, which is true. He just kind of turns around and twerks at you, and then as you try to take the puck, and you just kind of fall over. So Auston Matthews is very good defensively, and he flexed that as well, but that can obviously lead to a lot of injuries. When you're playing that aggressively, you can get hurt, and that's why we see Martin Necas not necessarily get hurt, because he's just not as defensively minded. He's an offense-first player, but Auston Matthews just has the talent and the toolkit to put it all together. Thank you, Dom. You're helping me figure out where I was because I kind of went off script there. But the Leafs' recent success, has come in no small part to him finding that goal-scoring touch again, and it is coming out against everyone, the Avalanche included. But despite being the goal that gave the Maple Leafs the lead, the Avalanche simply would not and will not go away. And again, the Leafs played a fantastic game against the Avs, but the Avalanche were not going to lose this game in regulation at home. Nathan MacKinnon and Martin Necas were going to make sure of that. This is one of Necas' best games in a while. He had one of the nastiest assists to set up Cale Makar I have ever seen. The man absolutely snatched the Leafs defender's ankles and sauced it all the way through to Cale Makar. When it works for Necas, it is highlight reel worthy every time. But when it doesn't work, he is sending it right onto the stick of an opposing player. And he does this a lot and did it plenty against the Leafs. But he was still instrumental on 2 of the Avs' 3 goals. Then there's MacKinnon, who people accurately predicted would have a 3-point game against the Leafs after not having any against Columbus. However, MacKinnon was also responsible for the Avalanche nearly winning this game in OT and then ultimately losing it. His play along the benches near the end of the OT period coughed up the puck to William Nylander, who would ultimately score the game winner. But before that, the Avs had a great sequence with Necas and MacKinnon that seemed to go in the net. The crowd thought so, I thought so, and yet somehow it did not go past Joseph Woll. And I don't really know how. But that to me shows this game was really a coin flip in this OT. It could have truly gone either way. Both teams got chances. The Leafs just finished theirs. it's still ultimately hard to even be that critical of MacKinnon. He's the best player in the world any given night and helped keep the Avalanche in this game throughout as he was involved on all 3 goals. It unfortunately just takes one costly mistake to end it all. I say all this as the guy who's never played the game, so I certainly do not have a lot of room to talk, but it's my podcast and I'll say whatever I want. The Avalanche as a team lost this game, though. They had both excellent power plays and terrible power plays. Excellent because they scored on one and almost scored on another, but we unfortunately bore witness to a familiar story where the Avalanche got the power play in the final 2 minutes of the game with the chance to put it away and break the tie, and this was their absolute worst attempt of the night, and when it absolutely should not have been. The Avalanche power play has been noticeably better. It seems whatever was said in their special power play meeting is resonating. As we mentioned earlier, Brock Nelson has been a fucking stud on the top unit, but it still isn't looking dangerous every time, and it does still look like absolute shit every third attempt or so. And it's still giving up shorthanded goals. That's not good. But the improvement is noticeable, but there is still a lot of progression to make because the Avalanche could have avoided overtime altogether. I'm just disappointed because I wanted the Avalanche to break the home win streak record, but ultimately there is only one thing I want the Avalanche to win this season, and they still got a point. They still haven't lost in regulation at home.
Yeah, those are some solid consolation prizes right there. And, records, streaks, they're made to be broken. And ultimately, even if they had set the win streak and broken it this time, you'd be hoping they'd break it again sometime in the future. So either way, they will break it someday. I think something you said all the way back, and I know this is, again, an Avalanche podcast, but like you said, this is also partially my podcast, and I can say what I want. And I want to go back and agree with you and credit to the work, the effort that has been shown by Auston Matthews, because you're right. We don't know what he's been dealing with or going through other than being captain of Toronto, which is just a hard enough burden to bear every season on its own anyway. But he's getting back to his full health or just hot, honestly, at the right time, scoring again, like you said, right before the Olympics. This is great news for the U.S. because at the Four Nations, he was definitely that defensive shutdown artist, but his offense was a little bit non-existent, or that just sometimes can happen for him. So if he is finding his game right now, that's just going to make the Olympics more exciting for all of us, especially all of us here in America, because I don't know what our international listenership is like, but anyways, I might be making an assumption there that you aren't all fans of Canada like Corey. But yeah, I think the fact is, though, that the Avalanche, even in a loss, even the streak being broken, they still went to overtime. And you're right, Toronto's hot right now. They've been winning a bunch recently. I think in the East, that is starting to spread out. There is a clear top echelon of 4 teams. And yes, Corey, you are right. The Islanders had the best win over the Avalanche and are the best team to have beaten the Avalanche this year, in my opinion. But they are one of those top 4 teams as well, or that has started to distance themselves from others. But the Maple Leafs, who were languishing down near the bottom, down near where Columbus was just a couple of weeks ago, have now battled themselves back into a playoff position, at least at the time we started recording. And now they'd be just 1 point out of the playoffs, to clarify. But they're in that second echelon that is still in the hunt for the East. We are starting to see now past the halfway point, and I look forward to diving into this more here in the coming days, especially with the break for the Olympics, of where we are in the league and how things have started to spread out a bit.
I think we will certainly, that being said, revisit our preseason predictions of where we thought everybody would sit once again. So I think that'll be a fun exercise, especially with the fact that nobody in the East is ever more than a few points out of a playoff spot. So that'll be fun to see. But yes, I agree. We will look at it once the Olympic break rolls around. We'll see if they're able to kind of pull themselves up. Because I mean, I can't lie. I like the Eastern playoff picture right now. I think it's fun that we have a lot of teams who, haven't been in it in the past few years. I really would like Buffalo to make it. Not that, I don't want Toronto to make it. That's fine. But it's tough because then who do you kick out? Because it seems like everybody wants to make it. And wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the season it comes down to literally the final games for who gets the final playoff spots in the East.
And that's all we could ever hope for, right? That's what we want, is we want to see the last games of the season still mattering, seeing great hockey every week, every game. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it just means the playoffs start early in the East. I mean, hell, they've kind of been going on all season with how everyone's been going.
True.
And, you know, it is interesting to see, though. I will have to say that I don't think every team should be considered as in and just a few points out of a playoff spot anymore. Not every team in the East is above NHL 500 anymore. So there is starting to have slip. And by the time we reach the Olympic break, and that does seem like a natural point to revisit our initial predictions, like you said, Corey, and do a full power rankings, I think we can potentially have a couple teams reasonably eliminated. Sure, they might not technically be eliminated, but I think we could start to say which teams have been eliminated from true contention at that point.
Certainly so. Josh Manson was close. It's close to having the first ever double Gordie Howe hat trick. 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks in a single game, which somehow never happened. The shocking part is he was only a single fight away. He already had 2 goals and 2 assists in one game. 4 points for a defenseman. How often does that happen? He just needed to have a second fight of all things, which feels like the easiest part. But before I rant further, for those of you who don't know, a Gordie Howe hat trick named after legendary goal-scoring elbow thrower himself, Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howe, is when a player has a goal, an assist, and a fight all in the same game. The all-time leader in Gordie Howe hat tricks, of course, given the namesake, is who, Dom?
Gordie Howe.
It's not.
Wait, no, sorry. Let me do this as a I hit on my table. I was pretending to do Jeopardy, and I even did it wrong. I was going to say, who is Gordie Howe?
Is that what you're going for? The Family Feud? Give me a name that starts with H. Jose.
No, I was just more so trying to do the hit the buzzer, hit a button first, and then do the who is response style, Jeopardy. Anyway, I fumbled it and then fumbled it again trying to explain it. So why don't you tell me if I'm wrong by guessing that Gordie Howe is the all-time leader in Gordie Howe hat tricks?
Gordie Howe is in fact not the all-time leader in Gordie Howe hat tricks. It is actually Rick Tocchet.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
In fact, I don't even think Gordie Howe is even in the top 10. Let me see. All time. I just want to make sure that I'm right. I'm fairly confident. Oh, see, there has been double Gordie Howe. The double Gordie involving players who each had a Gordie Howe hat trick. There's never been anybody who's had 2.
Ooh.
And funnily enough,
I'm sorry. Also, how in this game, based on opponent, there was a Kachuk brother on the ice. How did he not get the second fight? I'm so angry man.
I'm very shocked.
You sent me that video of that sweet innocent child saying the best part about hockey is violence. And I can't help but think about it right now because I'm like, yes, he's already done the goal scoring and getting the assists. And you're right, he's a defenseman. And I've sang the praises of Josh Manson all season, but man, I really wanted him to get the double when you texted me telling me that he already was 5 out of 6 parts of the way there, halfway through the game. I'm like, come on. He's got half a game to just have a single fight. This has got to happen.
And it somehow didn't. Here's the funny part is Gordie Howe, obviously you played in, I think, the most hockey games ever. In 2,421 professional hockey games, he only had 2. And it is Rick Tocchet who was the all-time leader with 18. But Gordie Howe, throughout his entire career of almost 2,500 hockey games, had 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks. And he wasn't even the one who did it first. The first Gordie Howe hat trick was from Harry Cameron of the Toronto Arenas in 1917. Gordie Howe himself didn't do it later until October 11th, 1953. So, just odd. I don't quite know why Gordie Howe has... here's why. The term was coined by a 1950s New York sports writer, although Howe himself accomplished the feat only twice in his 5-decade career. So...
Which, to be fair, Gordie Howe is a great name for something like that. It just sounds good as you say it. A Gordie Howe hat trick. Yeah. And then I think what's more important here is that ability that he, in an era of you either have the talent or you are an enforcer, and there was not much in between, he had the ability to switch it on or off and be King Rat before, obviously, we have Marchand these days. But he was that guy. He could be that guy or he could score. It was not something that you saw all these guys who are multi-talented like that. And so, no, did he have the most Gordie hat tricks? I guess not. He only had 2. Was he doing all in one on the same night every night? Maybe not. But one game, he could be putting up multiple goals. The next game, he would just be an Apple machine. And the game after that, he'd be throwing bows like it's nobody's business. So before you know it, he's doing all 3 things in the span of a week. So perhaps that's part of it as well.
And that's why his nickname was Mr. Hockey. The hilarious part that Dom somewhat alluded to is that Josh Manson almost accomplished the first Gordie Howe hat trick in the first period alone. The other hilarious part is this game against the Ottawa Senators was 3-2 at one point. But a call actually went the Avalanche's way for once. I know it's rich coming from me, a fan of this team. Wham, my team, who has won or gotten a point in almost every game they've played this season, got a bad call. But I digress. The Senators were offside, and despite it being in favor, I will always be an advocate for the abolition of the offside review. But it did take a game from being close to one that was not close to even the slightest, as the Avalanche took the gift that was given to them and absolutely ran away with it. Whenever the Avalanche have lost this season, it is a pretty safe bet that the rage of that loss will be taken out on the following opponent. Not only that, but the Avalanche lost 2 times in a row for the first time all season. The Sens, whose goaltending situation is dire, and 2 times in regulation, let me clarify. The Sens, whose goaltending situation is dire in more ways than one, were the unlucky recipients of that wrath. Not only that, but the Avalanche were coming back home to a place where they still have not lost in regulation. The Senators were essentially walking into a scheduled loss. It got so bad that the Sens pulled goaltender Levi Merilainen after the first 3 Avalanche goals, a decision I did not agree with in the moment. I did not think he was playing poorly whatsoever. And then they put in Mads Søgaard, who ended the game with a .688 save percentage and 17.22 goals against average. Yes, those are real numbers. I thought it was a meme. It was not. This was Mads Søgaard's first appearance in an NHL game this season, and that was not a nice thing of the Ottawa coaching staff to do, because after he got 5 goals dumped on him in 16 shots, the Sens put Merilainen back in the game. I did not think this game was going to stay 8-2 after a 6-goal second period by the Avalanche, where McKinnon got the most casual 4 points of his career. But just when I thought both teams were just going to calmly finish the game, because at that point it was beyond over for the Senators, it would be for any team, the Senators decided to get scrappy. And you know it's going bad when your top scorer in Tim Stützle fights the small and equipable Sam Girard and still gets his ass beat. The Sens just decided to cause trouble the entire third, and I thought the Avalanche would shoot to get to 10 just to prove a point, but clearly they are the bigger team. But with all the problems and hassle the Sens chose to cause, I figured Josh Manson would get into another Donnybrook, but he said in an interview after that it wasn't in his nature to go searching for a fight, especially just to get the Gordie Howe. But damn it, Josh, the history was right there for the taking. But Josh has been an absolute animal this season. Love him.
Yeah, man, poor Sogard. Honestly, he hasn't even had a start, and he's already been sent to the Shadow Realm. Like, I feel for the poor man who had to sit there and just get shelled for not even what was it, a whole period?
No, he made it. I think he made it through the period, and then they put Levi Merlainen back in for the third.
Okay, but also I did see this Tim Stützle fight, and he just goes up and he picks a fight with Sammy G, and he's got what? At least 3 or 4 inches of reach on him in this fight. Like, I get it, Stützle doesn't fight, but he's just physically bigger, and not by like a small amount bigger. We are talking, this is a big man versus a little man, and the little man had the better of the fight from the start. So that's embarrassing. That's as embarrassing as the scoreboard, honestly. But I mean, shit, if I was on the Avs bench, I would get into a fight with Josh Manson on the ice just for him to get the Gordie Howe. I get it. He doesn't want to go searching for a fight. Fine. Make the fight find him, just because, don't let him be so humble that history is passed up on for no reason, is my take. But you're right. We do love Josh Manson, and I will say we'll say love, because his game this season has been some of my favorite hockey to watch across the league all year, has been Josh Manson this year. Absolutely. And I watch Celebrini every week. So, I'm not comparing the two by any means, but I'm just telling you, Avs fans, that like, as the one here on this podcast who is not the diehard Avs fan all my life, Josh Manson is in like my top 5 players in the NHL today list, and I'm not afraid to say it.
There you go, everybody. And I mean, Brady Tkachuk was being a fuck. That's a good rhyme in the third. So I'm just surprised.
So good.
I'm surprised the gloves weren't dropped for that reason. But man, he was close to getting a double Gordie. He was close to getting a Gordie Howe and a normal hat trick. And he couldn't quite manage either. And everybody was so upset about it. All the fans, they wanted him to shoot the puck whenever he had it. Everybody wanted to see him beat somebody else's ass. It was so close to just absolute greatness. But I mean, hell, a 4-point game for a more defensive defenseman like Josh Manson, that's incredible regardless. So you can't complain too much. He had a great game. But yeah, no, it was funny because Tim Stützle is obviously German, and he looked mad. He had like that angry German face. You know what I'm talking about, like when Germans get really mad. And he's got his shit blocked by Sam Girard of all people, which is just funny. Anyway, final thoughts here.
Wait. I don't want to miss the opportunity to say Germans are really good at starting fights, but they have a way of losing them. That's all.
Oh my fucking God. All right. The Jets and the Ducks are ass. Oh, and don't think I've forgotten about the Rangers either. But the downfall of the Jets has been downright remarkable. It could have initially been blamed on Hellebuck being out, but he came back and nothing really changed for the Jets. They lost 11 in a row before finally doing something. Winning 3 in a row has been at home has been a godsend for them, and some of the games have been obscenely close, and they've almost blown some of them. This team is in need of someone like a Gavin McKenna, because if their top line isn't rolling, there's almost no hope that they'll pick up the win for that game. Jonathan Toews is not a 2C, but it truly demonstrates why Hellebuck won the Hart Trophy. The man deserved it, and he covered up so many mistakes the Jets may have made last year, but that simply isn't happening this year. Since December 20th, and since the Ducks removed a Wild Wings statue from out in front of their stadium, they went on a 25-day losing streak. And of course, they somehow ended it against the Dallas Stars, which is pure comedy. What happened to the Ducks? I was legitimately excited for them, as it seemed there was a shift in the top teams of the Pacific. And now the Kraken are in the playoffs because the Ducks couldn't hold it down. POP, hold it down. Oh, that's a classic Vine right there. Even if they were winning one, shout out if you remember Vine. Even if they were winning one and losing one, it would have still kept them in a playoff spot. The Pacific fucking sucks, and they still couldn't hold a spot. There's still time to turn it around, as they aren't far out of a playoff spot, but I genuinely don't know what went wrong for them. Perhaps Lukáš Dostal's injury that he's still nursing, guys cooling off after a hot start. I just don't know. As for the Rangers, 10-2 against Boston. That's all.
Yeah. The Rangers are bad and worse at home. I think they are worse than their record.
They got blown out
when I mentioned
8-4
that
tonight by the Sens, by the way.
Great. Yeah, the Sens got blown out and then they blew out the Rangers. That just tells you how bad the Rangers actually are, folks. And I mean, there's one team in the East that's below NHL 500. It's the fucking Rangers. The Rangers are bad. I think it's really funny and total conspiracy theory about the Wild Wing statue for the Ducks. And as a Sharks fan, yes, I want to have the California rivalry, but also fuck the damn Ducks. So yeah, rip down that statue, burn it, bury it, make them never able to put it back again so they can keep losing. Because while I like the games of Sharks versus Ducks, I don't actually want to have to play the Ducks. I would rather play the Kraken, honestly, as a Sharks fan. The battle of the deep, and I feel like we can typically be fine against them. So maybe not. I know you hate the Kraken, Corey, so I don't want to cause an upset here. But you're right about Gavin McKenna. And the thing is the Jets were on course to get him. And now that they've won 3 in a row and Vancouver has lost 8, Vancouver's back in pole position to get Gavin McKenna. Our condolences to Gavin. But I think this is a great opportunity to mention the best place and the place I want Gavin McKenna to go because it might be the only way they can get talent. Columbus. I'm not saying, I'm just saying get Columbus back where we want them to be.
Well, I mean, again, this draft has fucking a lot of amazing players. So even if they don't get Gavin McKenna, if they have a high draft pick, they're guaranteed to get a really good prospect.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen what Bedard has done for Chicago when healthy. We've seen what Celebrini does.
True.
So you can get a really good prospect, but for a franchise like Columbus that just seems to always be on the wrong side of the bubble, I think you want that steak sauce player that goes at number 1 overall.
That generational, but I think it's hard to call somebody generational before they actually enter the league. I think Celebrini has been proving it. I think Bedard will prove it, but we'll just have to wait and see with everybody else. But Dom.
Gotta say Matthew Schaefer, though. Schaefer has proved it more than Bedard has this year. Schaefer is the real deal. He is fun to watch play. That just the fucking aura the man has. Like, he's out there on the ice and he is just bursting with confidence. The way he just engages with the crowd, it is giving full-blown gladiator. Are you not entertained? Like, that is his energy, and it's great for the Islanders. I'm happy for them. They deserve some youth and excitement in that franchise that seemed to be rolling out the same roster for the last 15 years.
No, agreed. And at 18 years old, it's really impressive to watch. But Dom, the Sharks finally did what was required of them. And they did it in absolutely incredible fashion, which they seem to do most nights. It's just nice to see this team succeed. It's nice to see they have the ability to come back. They have a Hart candidate on their team. They're young and exciting to watch. The tickets are worth buying again and are unfortunately more expensive, but so it goes. There are still tough rivals for this team, but they don't feel out of it at any point and can even contend for a top position in the weak Pacific Division. It's time for In the Tank with Dom.
Wow. I'm struggling to figure out where to start here and recap the Sharks week. So I'm just going to jump right into our 3 Sharks of the week. And it's Macklin Celebrini, and guess who? Macklin Celebrini.
I would have laughed if you would have said somebody else.
Well, I mean, I do have another pair of Sharks if I technically have to pick a 2 and 3 because I do love this team and I want to give other guys their flowers, but it's Macklin Celebrini. And the fact you've convinced me, Corey, that I don't have to be cautious about my approach. Give this guy the heart. Give him the fucking heart. Like, what he is doing, putting this team on his back, just willing them to victories. Oh my goodness. I am spoiled, honestly. I've been suffering. You've heard my pain. as a Sharks fan in the season 1. If you haven't, go back and listen to it. I'm sure you'll take some joy from my suffering.
There's a lot
of
pain.
Are an evil person. There's a lot of pain, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's proof. Celebrini is proof that tanking is sometimes just worth it, and why Vancouver needs to do that. Why New York probably should consider doing that at this point. Rangers, of course, not the Islanders, obviously. Why Winnipeg definitely should do that. So I mean, it's I feel weird. I have these mixed emotions of like my new hero, like my heroes growing up, right? When you're growing up, they're always someone you look up to, someone you aspire to be like. What do I do now? And when I turn 26 in 2 months and my hero is 19 years old, I feel a little fucking weird about it. But at the same time, he's just built different, and he's so much fun to watch, and he's so calm and casual about it too. This just pure superstar, top to bottom. And the fact that he has like an actual coach for a father, and like a not GM, but GM experience, right? With his dad's involvement with the Warriors. I think it just shows in how well he is in communicating and being able to be a personable human on top of this stone cold killer that's on the ice.
Yeah. And I mean, if I can just kind of stack onto the Celebrini love, that's why I was talking about watching the Sharks, because yes, the team overall is nice, but I mean, really watching it strictly to see Celebrini play is so incredible. I mean, think about if you're an Avalanche fan, think about how you feel whenever Nathan MacKinnon touches the puck. Right now, it's like that times 10 for Sharks fans watching Celebrini touch the puck, because truly he is their McDavid, because he can touch the puck and just make magic happen. He can do the improbable. He can turn a game around in a single possession because he is just that good, that skilled, that insane. I mean, even when his assists are secondary assists, he's setting up these crazy plays that completely change the game for the Sharks. I know I'm being a little spoilerific here, but let's take a look at the Kings game. In a game that the Sharks were perhaps on the path to losing, Celebrini said, "Nah, fam, that ain't happening," and absolutely carves through a Kings defense and puts a goal away that a lesser player in no way could have done. It's a combination of natural talent, of insane hockey IQ and vision that few players possess. That is why he is better than other people. That is why all the top players that you see are better than the best in the world. Macklin Celebrini is incredible. I love watching this kid.
Yeah, and you said it. I'm not convinced that he wasn't just like they took DNA from Crosby and McDavid and took it to a CRISPR lab and just made him out of a machine, you know, because that goal in the late third period with the goalie pulled against LA, where that was a McDavid move. That was some McDangle nonsense that was just silky, and I think it was in like NHL's like goals of the week thing, right, or on ESPN or one of those. It was one of those highlight reel goals that everyone has seen. You have seen it before. If you watch hockey with enough frequency, you've seen it.
I don't even know how it went in, to be honest with you. Like, I watch it, and by all accounts, that puck should not have gone in. Not only is Darcy Kemper in the fucking way, but his own team's in the way. Like, 2 or 3 Kings players are in the way. And yet he still finds a way to get it through.
It's sheer will. It is the will.
Will is still injured, Dom.
19-year-old. I just let out a big sigh and closed my eyes, and I was like, damn it. Why'd you have to do that to me? Because that was good. You just caught me. You just froze me right there. But Will's on his way back. They have brought him and Khrushchev to day, by the way. So they are coming back soon.
Good.
We should, I mean, the Sharks play 4 games in the coming week. Really quickly, I'm just going to say this now. The Sharks had the back-to-back against Columbus at home and then at LA. Basically, it's proximity-wise close to home. Then they hosted Dallas and Vegas on a back-to-back. And then their next 4 games, a back-to-back starting Thursday at the Washington Capitals and at the Detroit Red Wings. And then, as if that wasn't enough, how about another back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday next week at Florida and at Tampa Bay? Who the fuck made this January schedule for the Sharks? I got problems. You're going to give me 4 straight back-to-backs, 4 of which come on the road against the Capitals, Red Wings, Panthers, and Lightning? Fuck off. Like, this is the gauntlet of the season right here. This upcoming week, these 4 games are going to be a massive swing point potentially where the Sharks could either cement a playoff position and be recognized across the league as a true contender if they can beat these Eastern Conference teams, or they could be sent just tumbling through the Pacific ranks out of the playoff position altogether and be like 6th potentially. So
there is
concerning.
There is definitely some scheduled losses on this, to say the least. And I mean, if they manage to get 3 points out of 8 in this, I think that's a victory, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, what's the league coming to where I have to say the game I expect them to win is against Florida? Of those 4 teams, which one do I think is most likely? I think the Sharks could beat the Florida Panthers.
Have you guys played
as
Florida
most likely
yet this year?
We have, and we beat them at home as well.
Okay, so there you go. So not improbable.
Not improbable, but the 2-time defending Cup champions are the easiest team in the next week.
Yeah.
That's kind of fucking crazy is more what I'm trying to say. But either way, where there's a will, there's a way, and Will Smith will be back. Yes, you got that one in there, but the fact that it is the will of a 19-year-old against all logic, reason, an Olympic goaltender, a division rival that's just hated going back decades, and the will of the 19-year-old won out. Because then, not only that, then in overtime, he was showing his defensive game as well to crash or just to close out. I think of basketball when I say close out, but to just drive the puck at the top of the zone when they were trying to get a change in 3-on-3 overtime and the puck's just kind of sitting there for the taking, poke it to himself off the boards to then set up the 2-on-1. Eklund scored the goal, and it was a great OT winning goal for Eki. I have him as my 3rd Shark of the week here, getting all the way back to where I started. But it was all set up by Celebrini waiting until the last possible moment to make the pass, the perfect pass after he had gotten both goalie and defenseman to commit. Actually, really quickly, it wasn't a defenseman on the 2-on-1. He was, again, hockey sense, like you said, Corey. So aware, knowing it was a forward, knowing he wasn't going to slide like a defenseman would, and that because he's Celebrini, he's probably going to be able to just look at the net to pull the forward. And he did. And then the blind pass across, just full talent on display across these 2 goals, everything we've been saying. Late in the 3rd period and then in overtime, the Sharks have won 9 straight games that have gone to overtime or a shootout, Corey. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how it has happened, but it has. And when we talked about something with Vegas before and how they keep getting those OT losses and how it doesn't matter in the playoffs, well, if the Sharks make the playoffs, their ability to win games in overtime is going to be a huge asset that is likely to be underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, a couple things. One is, I think, for all intents and purposes, all the other times you've played the Kings this season, I think it's appropriate to say that the Sharks have outplayed the Kings in all of those games. The Kings just got the better bounces that allowed them to take advantage of 1 or 2 goals that got them the win, even though the Sharks pressed them the entire time. This was just Celebrini finally saying, enough is enough here, and putting an end to that. The other thing is for the Sharks to then, I think, take the next step from where they are now, because I am confident now that they will sneak into a playoff spot here, whether it's, 3rd in the Pacific or a wild card spot. I do think they can hold on to it. I think they can win enough. I think the next step is when Celebrini isn't all of their offense, because when we talk about all the amazing things that the Sharks are doing, it's pretty uncommon to say that Celebrini is not a part of all of those things. Now, that doesn't mean that in the future, Celebrini is any less amazing than he is right now today. It's just that he's not the only one doing it. Because think about Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon, by all accounts, has continued to somehow get better every single fucking season. He is on pace to break his own record of 140 points in a single season this year and possibly score 60 to 70 goals. That's fucking insane. And yet, for a long time, you could definitely assert that he was, the Avalanche's offense. And I mean, he's still amazing. He's still a massive engine and play driver behind the Avalanche's offense as a whole, but he isn't the only part of the offense that allows the Avalanche to succeed. He's still as amazing as he was when he was pretty much the Avalanche's offense, but the Avalanche are now a well-rounded enough team, a deep enough team where he doesn't have to be the whole offense, and that allows him really to succeed more. So that's, I think, the next step for the Sharks, and that's something that happens incrementally, where Celebrini is still amazing and he's still putting up 100-plus point seasons and getting better and better, but he isn't the only one that has to do it for the Sharks. He will do it no matter what, because that's just what good players do, but he isn't the only one. The thing you said, though, to round out my thoughts here about OT is interesting, because I was thinking something very similar, that, if the Sharks make it to the playoffs, which again, I think they will, the good thing for them is that there is no expectation. There is no, thought that, oh, they'll make it far, or they'll make a run. And, they might not. They're young, they're inexperienced. They have some people who have played in the playoffs, like Toffoli and Klingberg and Orlov and everything like that. They have some of that experience, but I mean, the main core, it's young. They haven't had a lot of playoff experience. However, in my mind, in my opinion, if the Sharks can keep the games close, if they can push these, arguably better teams to overtime, they can give themselves that opportunity to take, a game here, a game there, and perhaps push the series further than people would expect. And I mean, maybe even push for that upset. You never know, because this team does still have strengths that they can kind of lean on. It's just being able to put themselves in that position. I know that was a lot, but I had a lot kind of to say after your initial thought there.
Yeah, I went on a run for a while, so you should as well. And you made a lot of good points there. I will add really quickly, you forgot Gaudreau and his playoff experience, especially in some of the biggest Sharks moments in history. Fuck you, Vegas. So I got to give him his credit as well, because not if, but when, I'm saying it, when the Sharks make the playoffs, I'm going as bold as I can here, because I'm at with you. It's not if, it's when. I will officially be sad if we do not make the playoffs this year. This is how these young kids get the playoff experience. Every game you win is another game that Will Smith and Celebrini experience playoff hockey. Celebrini is fine. He doesn't need it. But Smith, Misa, Eklund, Graf, your future pieces that are going to need to keep making these gains year on year, as you were saying, Corey, that need to fill out this roster, gain that experience, become those consistent players to build your depth, to not have it just be all on Celebrini, because Eklund still has, I think, more steps to take. He has made a great deal of progress, but he, I think, still has a ways to go to match the value when we think about what the second line of the Avalanche are, for example. And I'm using them as the bar based on what they've done this season. But yeah. Graf has made huge gains and is often underappreciated. He can do more when people aren't worried about him, and he will still be that great defensive player, great on the PK. So you start figuring out these certain areas and building the puzzle together. The power plays, when the power play's working, for example, Sharks are winning games. They were 2 for 4 against LA, 4 for 6 on their power play against Dallas. So that's 6 for 10 in those 2 wins, 0 for 5 in that pummeling against Vegas that followed it up. So that's something, an area when we talk about the improvement, the experience, where the Sharks aren't quite there yet, but every game they play, they have a chance to get better and to gain that experience for the years to come when they are going to be a cup challenger. So they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to. And also, when we're talking about other pieces, at least this season, really quickly, I just want to say, Toffoli and Wenberg, I remember comparing and saying how they're getting paid the exact same amount right now. they also have the exact same number of points in the same games. They both have 32 points in 45 games.
Well,
so I just think it's really funny. I feel vindicated that Wenberg and Toffoli both have the same contract in my standing on that.
Well, then I guess there you go. It was a well-constructed contract by Mike Greer. I was going to say, I think the Olympics are going to be really good for Celebrini when you talk about that experience gain. Because I think Worlds was good for him, getting to play along, Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon, because Crosby specifically asked to play with Celebrini. So I think this Olympic, it's going to be even bigger than that Worlds tournament was. So I think it'll really show him how to compete at the highest level against literally the best possible competition that you can ask for. So I think in terms of growth, especially if they expect to make the playoffs this year, it'll be really good for Celebrini and some of the other young guys that you guys have going to the Olympics. So yeah, the Olympics is going to be really important for those kids.
It is. And I just want to give you credit and tell the world your prediction that needs to be out there. Celebrini's going to get the golden goal. He's going to. Like, I saw a post saying, is Crosby on pace, or is he going to be getting yet another golden goal, another huge moment for Canada? I'm like, no, he's going to get the assist on Celebrini's goal, and that's how the baton's going to pass. It's written. It has been like no script writer, which obviously we don't actually believe that for the NHL, but for all the conspiracy theorists out there, no script writer can write it better than in Crosby's possibly final Olympics. He passes the torch to Celebrini, who's going to carry Canada for the next 20 years, getting the golden assist on Celebrini's golden goal. Could you think of a better plot line than that?
I could not. I agree.
So you made the prediction first. I thought about it, saw some other posts, and I agree. It is just pure destiny at this point.
I agree.
Man. But yeah, so recalibrating to the games a little bit in the game against Dallas. And I know this one's a big one for all of you Avs fans, and I'm sorry we had to beat them before, but we've been close. The Sharks have been playing Dallas really well this season. They've been right in the fight with them the whole way, each game, and they finally got the dub in this battle of backup tendies, as I have it written here.
Oh my God, Casey Smith. We'll get there.
Casey DeSmith has actually been surprisingly good this year.
I'm not saying anything about his skill level. He's been great. He's been consistent for Dallas. I'm just thinking of something that comes later. Anyway.
Oh, no. We have no order to this. Jump in. Do it now. Say it right now.
Just a fucking stick smash. And I mean, a very reasonable stick smash, in my opinion. Because, I mean, the dude did everything he could. It was the team in front of him that failed him. So I don't blame him for, making, first of all, an incredible sequence of saves in overtime before the Sharks got the OT winner. Make some incredible saves. But because the Stars tried to rush the clear and didn't get the puck out of the zone and instead gave it right back to Celebrini, dismissed the one who got cooked because of it. So I don't blame him for absolutely devastating that stick. And for the people, in the comment sections who were like, yeah, I'd be mad losing to the Sharks too. The Sharks aren't ass anymore. The Sharks are good. They're a good team now. They've already beaten their previous season's win total and are on pace to maybe effectively double it. You can't be mad losing to the Sharks anymore. They're good, especially when Celebrini sets up the winning goal. That's just how it goes.
They are tied for the most wins in the Pacific with Edmonton. They actually technically hit 23 wins first. The Sharks, for a point this season, for a point in the past week, led the entire Pacific Division in wins. So this team, put some fucking respect on the teal the next time you see it. But also, it's valid stick smash because of how these goals are scored. I said it before. The Sharks went 4 for 6 on the power play. And of the 5 goals he conceded, 4 of them were on the power play. Yeah, and when you are down a 4-on-3 power play in overtime, yeah, you're going to be fucking pissed and feel like you didn't have a legitimate chance.
Thanks, Miko.
Valid stick smash. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Miko. Thank you for being a bum and giving us just that added benefit. Thank you.
Well,
no thank you for scoring the goal that went up 4-2, but thank you for being a little bit of a bum and just his penalty minutes this year have shot up, I feel like.
They have, because he leads the league in penalty minutes. But I mean, let's think about it this way. Puck don't lie. I also saw the replay where Rope Hintz literally hugged Celebrini from behind and took him down to the ice, and that wasn't called. So if people want to argue that the Mikko Rantanen call in OT was soft, sure, but puck don't lie. It always comes back to bite you when something that egregious isn't called originally. So, womp womp. Sharks win. Let's go home, baby. Also, I love it's Randy Hahn, right? That's your announcer?
Yes.
Yeah, that dude's great. I love Randy.
We love Randy Hahn. I do enjoy Drew Remenda as well, and his commentary, the two of them together. Or when Drew Remenda's also with Brody Bazile after the games, and they start saying "back to you, Randy" now at the end of them. I love it. But Randy's great. I've seen multiple like things made, little short clips on YouTube of people like parodying or pretending to like be screaming out, like mimicking the audio. Right. He has some great calls this season, some great calls in Sharks history. He's been the Sharks 1A announcer since I can remember. Like as long as I can remember, he was there when I went to my first game in person. So, I mean, and he's still there today. My friend Christian Paul, shout out again. He sent me a picture from the last game he was at, picture with Randy.
That's tight.
Jealous, just jealous. But Randy's a cool dude. But a couple other things from this game. Credit to some Sharks here. We're finally coming back around. The number 2 star Shark of the week is Tyler Toffoli, getting the OT game winner, also scoring a power play goal in the third to cut the Stars lead from 4-2 to 4-3. And just all around good week. Tyler Toffoli had 6 points in the last 4 games. So he's on a 4-game point streak, currently active. Also, huge credit. I just want to mention Sam Dickinson on the game tying goal. He totally fooled Casey DeSmith with his eyes. He was looking shot. He was looking to DeSmith's right. So if you're looking at the net, the left post, right, if you're at Dickinson's point of view, and instead fires like a shot pass to the right post. No chance for DeSmith at all on this one. And it's the one that wasn't on a power play, right? So he had no chance on stopping this one either. So just great feed through the middle of the ice from Dickinson. He's another one of those guys that we want to get that experience now so that in a few years he can be at peak form, ready to contend for cup wins.
And I mean, can I just say, for the Sharks in general, just with this game, down 0-2, down 4-2 with 11 minutes left, they pushed themselves all the way back multiple times, and then they finished it. That's the important part, is not only is this team coming back against really good opponents. It doesn't matter if you want to troll a little bit. Dallas is really good opponent. I don't care who they've lost to. Anybody can beat anybody. Dallas is really good. But they came back. The Sharks came back and they finished it. They finished it. That's the important thing here, is the Sharks, even in the past, they had the ability to maybe push back and come back. But they couldn't finish it. And now they're finishing it. They're not blowing it anymore. And that's so fun to see. And that's why I loved rewatching the fucking OT winner over and over again, because Heiskanen panic clears it to Celebrini, to Macklin, to Toffoli. Boom, in the back of the net. But before that, Toffoli, boom, whacks at it twice. Save. Heiskanen, oh shit. Celebrini, haha, you fool. Macklin, haha, you fool. Toffoli, boom, in the net. Scars, fucking Shark Tank goes nuts. Those are the goals that you live for, and it's so fun to watch for that exact reason. Do I want Dallas to get a point? No, but it's the principle of the matter. They lost to the Sharks, and the Sharks came back and beat them. The Dallas Stars had control of this game at multiple points, and the Sharks said, fuck you, bing bong, and won the game.
Fuck your life, bing bong.
Well said. And that's the thing, is the Sharks had a couple goals taken off the board the first time they played. I remember ranting about this like a month ago. And then Ned goes on his Ned venture and gives away the puck, and they lose, right? 5-3 at a game that they were the better team and deserved to win. This time around, though, Ned got his redemption. So this is Nedemption. And I'm really happy with how Warsofsky does this. Every time this happens, like he did it with Askey, he does it with Nedeljkovic as well. They have a loss in a game they should have won, a blunder. He puts them back out there the next time they play that team to get their redemption. Just, I want to claps for the coach, right? That is coaching I value, coaching I like, that maybe not everyone appreciates. But they do finish the win. They come back from behind. This was a playoff style game against a playoff quality opponent, and they won. Whether it was in overtime, whether they were losing at any point, whether they said bing bong, fuck your life or not, they got the win. And that's all that fucking matters at the end of the day. And that's all that matters in the playoffs. It doesn't matter how you win. It doesn't matter if it's by an inch or a mile. Winning is fucking winning. Thank you, Toretto, for that one-liner. So this team is for real. Put some respect on our name, or honestly don't, at your own peril. Seriously, underestimate us, please. Who doesn't love to be an underdog with the best player on the ice? Because at this point, I can safely say, unless we are playing against the Colorado Avalanche or the Edmonton Oilers, any other team we play against, we have the best. Man, against Vegas, we still have the best single player on the ice.
Yes,
Vegas,
yes,
we'll dive into
agree.
Vegas here in a second, because Vegas is its own conundrum. Vegas, we just can't win against, and I swear to God, I'm going to give you some numbers and just how bad it is. It hurt me looking them up, but I had to do it for all of you. But man, Eddie, there are only two players in this league that I will still pay homage to. Homage? Whichever one.
Either way, you can say
you.
homage or homage. I think either is good.
So, okay. Whichever you prefer, because it could be apricot or apricot for you at home.
Exactly.
Celebrini, unless he is playing either of those two players in McDavid or McKinnon, he is the greatest player on the ice. So please, underestimate this team. Make us the underdogs, because we still have the single greatest weapon who can just blast off whenever he decides. So please do. But keeping it moving in, I feel like we're at a natural point. So unless you had anything else you wanted to add, Corey, this seems like a natural point to transition to my pain in Vegas.
Nah, other than, the future of the league is so bright with Celebrini in it. I mean, people can see it now, but I just want to point out that, we said it first on this podcast way back when, kind of in the beginning of the season. Celebrini is going to be the best player in the NHL at one point. He's not quite there yet, because McKinnon and McDavid are still right there in their primes and are playing some absolutely fucking insane hockey. Celebrini will get there. And it's great that basically we get to see Sidney Crosby's replacement come into the league right as Sidney Crosby is getting ready to retire. So it's pretty convenient that you basically get his protege, the second son, coming in right as pretty much the next one. Sidney Crosby is gonna retire. So yeah, gotta love it.
Yeah, certainly do. And the jump. I mean, I've been hyping up Celebrini since we drafted him. Kid is a miracle. He is a miracle. He is not of this world. But man, Vegas knows how to shut him down. And this is what you were saying, Corey. This team needs to be more than just him, because then he can even shine even more. He can even bump up those numbers more. I think if you get a few more pieces around him, I mean, the jump he's already made year over year to be the only one like in this conversation with McKinnon and McDavid for the Hart. All it could take is just another offseason, and then boom, he gets off to a quick start next year, and he could be right there point for point with them all season. We could be literally just a year away from him being the best player in the league, is the crazy thing. And that would not be because they stopped being in their prime for McKinnon and McDavid, just because Celebrini is that good year over year. It's possible.
Yeah. I understand what you mean.
Vegas is just a different animal, because they are just top to bottom running big players, physical players, heavy on the puck, heavy on their forecheck. And while I've been given praise to the fourth line this year, and they play big, the whole lineup for the Sharks is not built with either enough talent or enough size to make Vegas back off. And so they can just smother. And I saw something on one of the games I watched for the Sharks this week. I don't remember which one, so the stat might be slightly different now, but 0-8-2 the Sharks are in games that Celebrini does not get a point. 0-8-2. So they don't win, period, if Celebrini does not get on the score sheet. That is telling right there that you are too reliant on him. And yes, you need to rely on your superstars to be superstars. But if they're going to shine like the superstars they are, you need to free them. Let them not have to carry the burden of all of the team's scoring, but just be able to add to it and make that scoring excess. So Vegas, though, they do snap a 13-game point streak for Macklin Celebrini. Former Shark Tomas Hertl. I used to love this player. Honestly, I still have a lot of respect for him as a player. Would have been happy a couple of years ago to say that he had a 2-goal, 5-point night. But he always seems to have his best games against the Sharks.
Bro, like, why is on it? You guys? I don't know why.
Like, the team I hate most has to cause my team the most suffering. And the player who always shines is like one of our old fan favorites, would have been core pieces fucking 10 years ago. Oh, it just hurts. It hurts, man. Like, I looked it up. The Sharks have lost 11 consecutive meetings against the Golden Knights. They haven't won since March 30th of 2023 against the Knights. And these games have not normally been close. I mean, this season, the first two meetings were close. They were each 4-3. The Sharks should have won the first one, and they fumbled it at the end. But then their most recent matchups on December 23rd, and then this one on January 11th, 7-2 just thumpings at the hands of Vegas. And I say thumpings because they were just out there being physical, throwing their bodies, their sticks, whatever around, and eliminating the Sharks' ability to do anything. And I don't know why this team that can go and be putting up playoff performances, solid top to bottom game against Columbus, then on a back-to-back, go win. Yes, Celebrini put the team on his back, but go win against LA. Go get that rivalry win for position in the playoffs. Then follow that up with a win against Dallas, a true playoff contender. But then you just fall flat on your face against fucking Vegas, man. Like, where was all of the good things that were in those games? Just poof, thin air, just because you were.
And we lost.
Oh,
you.
Wow.
Yeah, we've done good.
Where did you lose me?
Mid rant, but I did want to say something if it's any consolation with that in mind. You were kind of in the midst of why.
Okay, well, I don't have to say why a bunch more times again then. Basically, why is it that you can go and show all of these great things against these other playoff teams, and then you see Vegas and everything changes? That's really simply at the end of it. Anything else is just me exasperated with my pain. That's really all it is.
Well, what I'll say is,
go for it.
Remember how we've talked about, and I mean, it's a common theme where players against their former teams will, I think, always do well. Like, every time a former Avalanche player plays the Avs, he'll notoriously score. I think Matt Duchene is a fucking legend for that reason. He'll always score. Obviously, fucking Mikko Rantanen, but, same situation here. It isn't just something that happens to the Avalanche. It happens to every team. And not to mention, I just think some teams have bad matchups, and eventually, you can overcome it as that team has more turnover and different staff. Then it can start to change. But I mean, again, I just think some teams are just naturally bad matchups. It's just the way it goes, or are tough matchups at the very least. For example, I think the Avalanche have that with quite a few teams in the East, especially. They're just challenging matchups for the Avalanche. I think Toronto's pretty consistently a challenging matchup, regardless of where these teams are in the standings. They could be fucking bottom of the league, and yet when they play your team, it's like, okay, this is always a tough game to play regardless. So I just think right now Vegas is a tough matchup for you guys. It's not something that can't not be overcome, but it's hard to do it.
Yeah, and that's where I think the size is the issue. When Misa starts to grow into his potential, Will Smith, yes, we won't be as big as Vegas, but eventually we'll have enough talent to punish them for closing out and being physical and finishing their checks. Eventually, I gotta hope we'll get there, because otherwise, I don't see how we're not going to be a bigger team than Vegas is. That's just not how the Sharks are building towards or going
You're
to be built on their lines,
you're definitely
top to bottom.
Dex over strength build, same as the Avalanche. Like the Avalanche have some strength and some hitters, but they're definitely high skill over high hit.
Right. The thing is, though, what part of it is, though, if you're not at 5-on-5 and you're not having these hits, it's still other things too. Like I said, they go 6 for 10 on the power play against LA and against Dallas combined, right? But then 0 for 5 against Vegas. I mean, and I looked it up this season, the Sharks are 2 of 12 on the power play against Vegas. Vegas is 5 of 14 against the Sharks with at least a power play goal in every time they play. So their power play always seems to score against our penalty kill, which our penalty kill is pretty solid. Colin Graff is great at shutting people down. But against Vegas, they just always find a way.
Yeah.
Now, here's for the real painful part. I mentioned 11 straight losses. Corey, do you just want to take a guess? Considering when the Knights first entered the league in the 2017-18 season, what do you think their regular season record is against the Sharks head to head? You could either give me the Sharks record or the Knights record. You pick.
Okay, well, since they're both in the same division, they play each other 4 times a year. And if Vegas entered in 2017, that would be now almost 9 years ago. You guys are about to have your 4th matchup. So let's see. 9 times 4 is what, 36? Minus
36,
1.
yeah.
So you've played each other roughly 35 times. So I'd say regular season. Am I somewhat in the right ballpark there?
Yeah, so just to give you the correct number, they've played each other 38 times in the regular season. 2021 and 2024, they actually only played each other 3 times just due to adjusted scheduling. But importantly, in 2020, the adjustment is that they played 8 times because of the COVID year.
That's right. Okay.
So it's a total of 38 games they've played in the regular season.
So I'll say it from Vegas's perspective. I'll say let me make sure I can do my math here. Let's go 25, 5, and 8 against the Sharks. Way more wins than losses.
Okay. I only have it split into 3 numbers. So 25-5-8 is what you're saying.
So 25 wins, 5 losses, 8 OT losses.
I appreciate your optimism. Thanks for being my friend.
No, I was saying that was Vegas's record. Vegas won 25 times.
Oh, I know. I appreciate your optimism because it's worse.
No.
You gave us credit for 13 wins.
That was me.
You gave us credit for 13 wins.
Oh my God.
The Vegas Golden Knights. Listen, this is only a rivalry because of one playoff series. The Vegas Golden Knights are 31, 2, and 5 in the regular season against the Sharks. We are 7, 26, and 5. Just so now everyone understands why I fucking hate Vegas so fucking much, and I'm not over exaggerating when I say they exist to cause me pain, because holy fucking shit, how bad is that? 2 regulation losses. That's it for Vegas against the Sharks. That's it. We've only beat them in regulation twice since they became a fucking team.
When was the last time you beat them? Just at all?
That was March 30th of 2023. Yeah, March 30th, 2023.
You haven't beaten Vegas in over 3 years nearly?
Oh, it will be. But yeah, because we just played them the 4th time this season. So that's it for the season. For
I thought you guys have
one
one more game against them.
No, I ran back, looked through it. We have played them, and I actually took advantage of Stat Head Hockey and Stat Muse as well when I was looking up these things, so I could look up how they've played in those last 10, or in this case 15 games. Since we opened the season, played them October 9th, November 29th, December 23rd, and now January 11th. So yeah, 4 times already.
There is a chance you see them again this year. Depending on how it all shakes out, you could see them again.
We could. And honestly, the one thing I got going for us is the fact that we have beaten them in the playoffs before. The playoff record, we are 6-7. So we have nearly as many wins.
Don't say those numbers, Dom.
We have nearly as many wins in the playoffs against this team as we do in the regular season.
That's fucking insane. Well, like I keep saying, I do genuinely think there will come a day where there is a turnaround. I think there'll be a power shift in the Pacific where, the Kings start to fall off and the Sharks and the Ducks really start to rise as their young talent comes into their own. I do genuinely believe there will be a point where you start beating this fuck ass team. I believe in you.
I am hopeful. I don't know if I believe
right now.
Yet.
It's just not right now.
Yeah. This I swear this team just exists to cause me pain. Just in case I don't remember if it was part of the period that was cut out. I guess one small bright note in this game against Vegas, this most recent painful one, is that Michael Misa was back in the lineup and centering the third line with Jeff Skinner and Colin Graff. Skinner and Graff actually both got points on the night, so that worked out well. But it does answer the question I had from a week or two ago of whether or not Misa will be playing. He will be on the roster for the rest of the season, and he will get that playoff experience when the Sharks get there, because I'm just manifesting it into existence. So that is, I guess, a small bright note is that he is back in the lineup. And so with Will Smith and Khrushchev, Mukhamadullin, Desharnais, they're all day-to-day, all expected back soon. This team that was dealing with a mountain of injuries and missing players just a week or two ago will be at full strength here before the Olympic break. So fingers crossed that they can get some wins here to finish out January.
Yeah, January's fucking brutal for you guys. I really hope the best. I'll be watching with bated breath as we go along, because holy shit.
But rather than end on that note of perhaps some, I don't know what it is. It's not quite a cliffhanger. So anyway, I don't know. I had one more thing in the tank tonight. That's what it's coming to. My brain is starting to shut down on me right now. But there was a trade that the Sharks made in the past week that happened on January 8th. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. But the Sharks acquired defenseman Nolan Allen and goaltender Lauren Brossoit, along with a 7th-round pick in 2028 from the Chicago Blackhawks. In exchange, they sent their own 4th-round pick in 2028, along with defenseman Jake Furlong and the Ryan Ellis contract. And again, I say contract because he hasn't played in years, and he is basically unofficially retired with a career-ending injury. So this is just a cap move there that the Sharks had acquired to become cap compliant. But now that they're competitive, this is a move to clear up space, not just $3 million on this year's cap, but the full $6 million on next year's cap, so that they can build and go out and be buyers at this trade deadline looking ahead to playoffs. So they don't need Ryan Ellis to help them be cap compliant. I don't know if Chicago technically does either, so maybe it's a lateral move for them. But I like the intentionality there of getting rid of a contract that you no longer need, so you can have that. To me, it's a signal that Mike Grier is going to be making not just one, but likely multiple moves here when we get to the deadline. And not just moves of selling, but truly buying and getting upgrades. God, I hope it's on defense mostly. But rumors of Kiefer Sherwood and Andrew Mangiapane have started to swirl as potential targets for
Dougie Hamilton,
the Sharks, as well as Dougie Hamilton, who Dougie, come play for the Sharks, but also fuck you for not believing in us and shutting down a trade in the offseason because the Sharks tried to go get him. Like Orlov was our consolation prize. We went after Hamilton first. So how you feeling now, bud? Playing a little crappy on New Jersey, not having a great season. You could be playing with Macklin Celebrini, you dickhead, but come play for us now anyway. Also, but just focusing on the trade, I'll just make the easy one. Jake Furlong, 21-year-old defenseman for the Sharks. Nolan Allen, 22-year-old defenseman, I guess now for the Sharks. Jake Furlong was formerly for the Sharks. I like this. Furlong was a 5th-round pick, hasn't quite materialized, hasn't been great in the AHL. Nolan Allen, he was a 1st-round pick, number 32 overall, but still, only 1 year age difference. Sometimes just change the scenery, but again, having more depth in the AHL at defenseman, so we are able to make moves or just can keep trying different combinations, just throwing darts at the wall, honestly, to improve the Sharks' defense. Is it lateral? Potentially, but when Furlong's not doing anything for you, why not take the chance? Why not take a shot at it and see if Nolan Allen can be better on this roster? The more important piece in what the Sharks effectively did here is taking Brossoit and a 7th-round pick in exchange for a 4th-rounder in Ellis. And Brossoit is coming off an injury. He's 32, but he's been bouncing back and been doing well this season since in the few games he's played at the AHL level since returning from injury. Why this matters is because the Sharks' goaltending is still shaky. It is still an area that is not secured. Now you have your number 3. Now you have options. Now you can, if he doesn't end up playing in the NHL, now you can go after a Calder Cup. Why not? Go win something. But you have a number 3 goaltender if the worst should happen to Ned or to Askey. God forbid Askey, then we'd just be cooked. But if either of your goaltenders goes down, you can still make the playoffs. And Brossoit has played at the NHL level. He actually has good career numbers when I was looking at them. So if it doesn't work out, you're not losing a ton. A 2028 4th-rounder and getting a 2028 7th-rounder. I don't feel bad about that price. And you're also dumping the Ryan Ellis contract. So overall, I like this trade. I like the fact that we have another dart throw at defenseman that could work out. Former 1st-round pick, so you never know. It's just another asset in the system for my career. But especially, people might have been surprised. I initially was surprised and didn't know how to react, but after digging into it, I think the Sharks having a 3rd goaltender who could be NHL quality is necessary if they want to be a playoff team. But also at the deadline, it gives them options where they could choose to keep him and extend him, choose to extend Ned, choose to flip one of them to another team who's desperate for a goalie. So it's just, again, more flexibility for when it comes to the deadline moves that Mike Grier is guaranteed to be making some moves.
Yeah, I think for the Sharks, you kind of said it already, but in my mind, I think there's kind of a hybrid approach here. I do think there'll be buyers and sellers at the deadline where they'll probably be in a decent position to still hold their playoff spot, but they might asset flip here for some guys whose value that they've increased. And but I mean, also with things like the Wenberg signing shows that they're also committed to keeping some guys and staying and begin forming kind of their core that they have envisioned as well. And man, I had something else that I wanted to kind of say, but I'm not quite remembering where I wanted to go with that. Maybe Ravensburger will end up, or Bergen will end up being your
Bergen, yeah,
maybe he'll end up being your number 1 goaltender of the future. Who knows?
That's a good point, and that's something that with Asker struggles because he is struggling.
I remember what I wanted to say. It's that right now the Sharks are in a great position where virtually any trade they make, regardless of who it is kind of zero risk for them at this point. Because again, the expectations are low. They're not necessarily expected to make it to a certain position. I mean, there's still, not necessarily an expectation where they make the playoffs. Would we like them to? Do we think they will? Yes. But, if they don't, so be it. They've improved greatly and have a good chance of making it the following year. But should they bring in, trade pieces on an experimental basis? I don't think it hurts them to do that because they have the ability to flip these players back around, and they're not at risk of necessarily losing assets or losing prospects because, one trade doesn't go right for them, which happens occasionally. So right now, I think they're in a great position to experiment, to pick up guys that maybe are undervalued, or to pick up guys that other teams are like, I don't know why you'd really want him, but okay. But yeah, that's where I'm at to finish up kind of that thought.
I think I lost you again. So let me know if you can hear me or not. But
I can hear you.
If you can hear me, Corey, okay. I was just gonna say you could probably we could probably end the tank there. I didn't want to not respond to any of your.
Nope, all
your
good.
last
That
points
was
there
kind
since
of
it
the
cut out for me.
final bits of thoughts anyway. So all good.
Yeah, I think what you're saying though, and just the essential point is we have the darts to throw.
Yes,
Everything's a dart throw. You don't have something to lose. Your hand is not on the dartboard to get struck. Don't ever play that game, kids. No, don't ever. Please don't.
Are you
Make good
speaking from
choices.
experience, Dom?
I'm being an older brother giving advice to my younger brother, and in the off chance my mother hears, I will not answer that question. Now, but anyway, I think dart throws are key. Any move is a good move, especially at goaltender, because things are not secure, especially at defense, things are not secure. I agree with you though, or just want to highlight that yes, they are starting to retain people, start signing people. And also, even with the amount of assets we have, we can't keep everyone. So we're going to have to start shipping out assets who are AHL and unproven to take a chance on some of these. And so even those, though, are still, even the ones that might feel more costly, are still pretty low risk to the Sharks if those players could potentially walk on their own in the offseason anyway. Because while it's great, huge prospect pool, entry-level contracts and initial contracts expire, and you can't pay everyone, even at the prospect levels. So,
yep, exactly right. Well, thank you for your time in the tank, Dom. I certainly had a lot of fun yelling about Celebrini and the victories that you guys sustained this week, and reveling in your pain. I'm very sorry. Not reveling, but sharing in your pain. I'm very sorry.
Hey, I'm glad to have you here with me. Glad to have you in the tank. Glad that you could ride with me on the highs and the lows because of the Dallas game as well. And you watching the LA game and getting to see the full Celebrini experience, at least that portion, and feel that good old hatred of a California rivalry. So even if the Ducks have plummeted, we still have a rival to compete with on a nightly basis.
Yes. Anytime the Dallas Stars lose, it's a good day. But here's your 3 Avalanche players of the week. Number 3 is Marty Necas, as we talked about. Had a great week, had a nasty assist. He's just nasty, Marty nasty. Number 2, Josh Manson, obviously. I mean, we had a whole section dedicated to him. Why would he not be one? Number 1, Trent Miner, stepped up, finally got his first NHL win, and it was a shutout at that. Was very admirable stepping in, but Mackenzie Blackwood, for those who don't know, has come off of IR, so we should expect to see him play this Friday. As for your fun fact, I figured...
Before the fun facts, I'm sorry. I have to apologize to Trent Miner because I'm pretty sure I disrespected him by accident early in the season by not, like, when I was also trying to compliment the wedge wall and the Blackwood combo. I might have... I did not know your game, Trent Miner, so respect. Did not realize you would start out with a shutout like that, so props to you, young man.
He's been good the few times that he's had to come in, even though they've ultimately resulted in loss. Oh God, no! We're good. Some stuff just fell on the floor. Anyway, but he had to come in like against Carolina, and he stood firm after that. Like, he didn't let any in, but the Avs ended up dropping in the shootout. And I forget the other game that he had, or I think he came in against like Washington or something, but no, that wasn't it. That was before. I don't know what other game he came into this year. I'd have to look back, but I mean, he's been good. It's just been like these tough games that the Avalanche have lost like really close. So it's nice that he finally got his first NHL win. Like, he definitely could be an NHL goaltender someday. There's just some more experience that needs to be gained. But I mean, he's been really good for the Eagles down in the AHL especially. So he's probably a reason why they have a good chance at the Calder Cup. So thank you, Trent. Yeah. No, he's great. But definitely want the lumberyard back and fully healthy for sure. As for your fun fact this week, there are many times on the Avalanche broadcast where they'll show these cool ass stats about the Avs that maybe even I have not shared because they have people whose job it is to find these crazy stats, and then you'll just never see them again. Luckily, I did take some pictures of some of these stats, so I just wanted to share some of the ones that I managed to tag with all of you. One of them happens to be that Nathan MacKinnon passing the great Michel Goulet, which is never a small feat, for the the fastest Avs Nordiques player to 80 points in a season. He did it in 45 games. I believe Michel Goulet was at 47, so MacKinnon did it in 2 games faster. So way to go, Mac. Another one I have for you is the Avalanche in third period. They have 1.41 goals per game in the third, which is first. They have a plus 33 goal differential, which is first, and 402 shots on goal, which is first. When the Avalanche are leading after the second period, they were at the time of this stat 23-0-0. That's fucking crazy. And then
still so absurd. Sorry.
It is absurd.
Just so absurd. Every time we drop those numbers, it's unbelievable.
It is. And then finally, we were talking about how the Avalanche's D-core is the most offensively active. Well, here's the numbers to back it up. They have 33 goals. This was during the Toronto game. 33 goals, which actually strangely ranks second. 111 assists, which is first. 144 points, which is first. 31 even strength goals, which is tied for first. And a rating of plus 158, which is first. And more than double the second place team of Washington, whose D-core has a rating of plus 73. The Avs D-core is really good, and thank God for Brent Burns, who has frankly made it even better. So, gotta love it.
Our Lord and Savior, the Wookiee.
Yeah, certainly so. It feels good to not be totally ill. So, like I said, everybody, for the millionth time, take care of yourselves. Well, everyone, the clock is counting down to the final horn. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode of the Captain Avalanche Fancast. If you have something you want to know about the Avalanche Sharks or just hockey in general, especially going into the Olympic break, reach out to us on our socials or email, and we'll be happy to try and answer it. The best thing you can do, if you like what we're doing here, is to follow us on whatever platform you're using and to share this podcast everywhere you can with everyone you can. I'm Captain Avalanche Cory.
And I'm Dom from the Tank.
Check out our new episodes every Thursday. Thanks, everyone.